Gatekeeping has become a little bit of a dirty word and a bit controversial, especially in birding, nature in general, wildlife photography. Gatekeeping is this idea of keeping locations secret and not telling others. And today I'm going to say something that you might not like to hear, or maybe you're not supposed to hear, and that some places should be gate kept. And it's not because other people don't deserve the experience of wildlife or nature or bird photography, whatever that outdoor activity is. It's because some of these locations, they may not survive in their current state when we overshare information. So in this video, I'm going to share a recent accusation of being called a gatekeeper. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I feel about that title and why it really doesn't even bother me anymore. We'll talk about it right after this. Now, in today's society, we have a need to share everything, and that is certainly true about birding, wildlife photography, and just travel and nature destinations in general. We share locations, we share exact spots, we share the GPS coordinates. Sometimes in bird photography, we'll even tell you the exact nest or cavity that a bird was sitting in. And if you don't share that information, you may be called selfish, you may be called toxic, or you may be called a gatekeeper. But after years of doing this, I've seen the impact on oversharing of locations, and I've seen the changes that it can make in certain areas. Now, these changes aren't always slow. Sometimes it can happen extremely fast, and it's generally not for the better. I want to share with you just a recent story. So I was on Facebook recently, and somebody had shared a post, and they said, "It's such a shame what happened to this place." And I asked them, and they said, "Well, this used to be a nice little watering hole. It was a pretty little waterfall. Locals could go there and enjoy it, take pictures." And then somebody wrote a blog about it. And then people started visiting, and the more it got visited, the more people shared their stories, and they started to post that specific location, waterfowl watering hole. And recently it was posted again, and somebody put that location. Now, I have tried very hard not to respond to stories on social media. In fact, many times I type and I just delete and say, "Scott, it's not worth it." In this case, I posted and I just said, it's possible to experience something beautiful and not tell everyone where it's at. It's something to the effect it normally doesn't help out anything. And the responses were variable. A lot of people commented and said, "That place has been blown up for years," but locals responded and said, "No, it used to be very quiet until this happened, until this social media got a hold of it. And this pretty location is now filled with trash and diapers. The state has to get involved. There's nowhere to park. It's a hazard. It's just nothing good happened to this." And in that process, two people called me a gatekeeper, suggesting that by me saying we shouldn't share the location of certain places, I was gatekeeping that information and keeping others from experiencing it. So let's talk about it. Oversharing of information normally just sort of happens casually. One person mentions it, other people visited, often fueled by social media, and then another person shares it, and then another, and then that area spreads. And this happens in both birding, which I have 1 foot in the world of birding and a couple feet in the world of photography, and it happens in both of these arenas. Suddenly we have places that were respectful, people honored them, people enjoyed them, but now that same location, which was fairly private, has dozens of people showing up every day. And while it is public, it wasn't well known. And at first, maybe it even feels like a little exciting, like I'm sharing this information, I'm getting more people involved. More people are discovering wildlife, and that's a good thing. There's more interest and there's more energy, but things can shift. So the area itself can become trampled. It may not have been designed for people. Maybe people in wildlife get a little too close, and then they get a little closer, and then they start to cross lines, and it perpetuates these problems. It could even change the animals in that area. So as a wildlife photographer, I'm concerned about that. Maybe they're more alert. Maybe they're more stressed. Maybe they abandon nests that they've had for a long time. Sometimes they may even just leave the area entirely. And eventually that thing that made the place special is diminished. Maybe it's even gone. Now, many people lump the term gatekeeping into one general umbrella, and I want to be pretty clear about this. I think it's different in different situations, and it could be applied differently. So while I'm kind of making this argument that gatekeeping could be a good thing, there are times when I think it's absolutely wrong. And that's when it's used to intentionally exclude people, often based off of groups and who they are. So for example, they don't fit in with us, or they're not like me or them. And the classic example could be like a private country club that only brings in people just like the existing members. Now, personally, not a big fan of that. I would like to see more diversity in our wildlife, in our photography. That's not the kind of gatekeeping I'm talking about. The gatekeeping I'm talking about is really more about specific locations and keeping those locations more sensitive. The gatekeeping that I find wrong is when it becomes about control and it becomes exclusionary to groups of people. But that's really not what I'm talking about here. Not sharing a wildlife location is not excluding people. It's about protecting something that may not be able to handle the exposure. And those are two very different things that often get labeled the same way. When it comes to wildlife, honestly, I don't really mind being called a gatekeeper, because if protecting a place means not broadcasting it into the world, I'm going to be okay with that. I would rather a location in the wild stay wild, and I would rather a location that is untouched by humans remain untouched, and that it does not become popular or even destroyed or decimated. And this brings up an important question, because if we stop there, it sounds like we're just shutting people out. So the real question, how do we include people without sharing locations? And it's possible. So for example, rather than give somebody a location and tell them where to go, could we be more inclusive by teaching them how to find those locations on their own? And in the process, encourage them not to share the specifics. So we're educating people around habitat, around nature, and maybe we're being inclusive in a different way. Maybe that's the way we need to include people, because inclusion doesn't have to be giving away exact spots. It can look a little different, and it can still be beneficial. Maybe it looks more like teaching people how to find wildlife instead of telling them exactly where to stand to get it. So understanding habitat for photography, understanding light, understanding behavior. Those are critical parts of what we do. Why does a bird choose a certain tree? And what animal moves at a certain time? That might be a way to include people. And those might be far more valuable than pinning a location. Because once you understand that, the locations aren't as important to know, because you can find them on your own. You don't need to tell somebody where to go. They can discover those places on their own. And I will tell you this, discovery is joy. When you find something on your own, it always matters more. And there may be some locations that are okay to share. So general areas that are already built for people and wildlife to exist together in the same location, not really what I'm talking about with this one. But when we can give people a starting point without putting a spotlight on something, that becomes a lot more powerful. And part of educating people in this process could be things like personal discretion and distance and respect, patience. How important patience is in wildlife, and especially in wildlife photography. It's not just making sure the subject is there when I show up. It's making sure that subject is there tomorrow and the next day and the next month and the next year. To me, it often feels like people who use the term gatekeeper are really just after shortcuts. They want GPS coordinates, maybe the nest location, and they don't want to do that research themselves. If I'm going to be blunt, sometimes those people are accusing others of gate sharing or not sharing, comes across a little bit lazy. Inclusion isn't about shortcuts. It's about giving people the tools, not the coordinates. And I think this is where the conversation needs to shift. Because right now, if you don't share everything, you're often labeled as a problem. And I don't find that to be true. Maybe there's a better question, and maybe that better question is, what's the impact of me sharing this information or this location? What happens when this location becomes too popular? What happens when too many people show up? What happens when wildlife starts changing its behavior or the environment is impacted so much that policies around that location have to change? So I think it's great to share knowledge. I think it's great to share technique. I think it's great to get people involved in this community. The more people involved in nature and wildlife, the more people that have a passion for it, the more we have a chance to make an impact on things like policy and conservation. But in terms of sharing specific locations, I will say this. I have not shared a public location of anything that I've photographed in the last 10 years. It's just not something I ever do. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily closing the door on people. It just means I've decided that for me, it works better to keep things private. So you can open the door for people. You can open that door into our environment without putting a spotlight on places that can't handle it. And maybe that's the balance. So we're not choosing inclusion or protection. We're trying to find a way to do a little bit of both. So I'm curious where you stand on the entire issue of gatekeeping. And I want to address one more thing because it's something that comes across a lot when people use the term gatekeeping or gatekeeper. And when you're called a gatekeeper, it's often around being selfish. You've got something you're not sharing. And I'm going to be honest with you. Many times I don't share locations and I make that my policy, as I said, but I don't share those locations because I do think there is a fear that they could become a little bit overrun. Too many people impacts the wildlife. However, there are times when I have made this policy not to share locations, and it's probably less about the environment than it is just about me and wanting to keep that location to myself. I've got private areas where I can sit on rocks and be alone and enjoy nature all by myself. And in the process, I might take some really good photographs. I've got some locations, for example, for wood ducks. And it took me years to cultivate these locations. For every one location I found that photographed really, really well for ducks, there's probably 10 that I drove hundreds of miles around the state of Pennsylvania looking for, and it didn't work out. I put a lot of work into this over the years. And do I want other people there? Honestly, I don't. I mean, it sounds selfish, right? Like I found something. I didn't discover it. It's public, but I mean, I put work into this and I'm not telling other people about it. Am I selfish for not sharing that location that I spent years cultivating and others want to know it? And it's not really about the spot being ruined more than it's just about me wanting to protect that location for myself. I'm being honest. I put a lot of time into it. Should I be obligated to tell others where that location is? Does that make me selfish? Let me flip the tables. Who's more selfish? The person that doesn't put in any time and just goes on Facebook or sends a message to somebody who they don't even know, just a stranger, and says, where did you take that picture? Where did you find that owl? What part of the lake were you on for that? They want that information for their own benefit without doing any of the work. Turn the tables. Who's more selfish? So there's a lot of nuances when it gets to this. And part of this idea about protecting things for your own interest is real. I know a lot of photographers that do that. Personally, I do it myself. And it may come across selfish, but I just want you to think about it. Before you accuse somebody else of being selfish for not sharing what they have put hard time, they have put a lot of work in. Before you accuse them of being selfish, think about what your motivations are. Are you the selfish one? Or are they? And personally, I just don't think I owe it to people to just share information that I have personally tried to acquire over many, many years. Maybe it makes me a gatekeeper. Maybe it doesn't really bother me that much. So, down in the comments, what do you think? Do you personally share your photography locations, especially those private locations? Maybe you're the only one there. And do you agree with at least the premise that some places are better left protected? And why do you think we have this need to share everything? What is it about our culture and our society that just makes us go to a place and feel like we have to tell people exactly where we're at? Hey, if you found a great swimming hole, even if you want to share the pictures, go ahead. Share the video of you jumping in the water and enjoying yourself and the birds singing. Nobody really has to know where it is at the end of the day, right? Well, anyway, thanks for tuning into this Quick Thoughts video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe a little controversial, not sure. Tried to be pretty honest with this one as I do with all of my videos. So let me know down in the comments how you feel. Appreciate you tuning into this one. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you'll get more content like this, some of these quick opinion pieces, also some product reviews, and I do some pieces where I try to help you improve your wildlife photography. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and hit that like button so the content gets pushed out to others who have the same interests as you and I. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.